Welcome to the Goody Room, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, and more. We know you want the goodies. Welcome to the Goody Room. I'm your host, Matt the Nachos. With me always is my man in the chair, Frankie Rock. How we doing today, Frank?
We're doing great. How you doing?
I am feeling, pretty good. Pretty good. Was watching a new show, but I'm gonna save it for another episode. A little, don't want to give any spoilers here, but it's pretty good. It's an older show, but I'm doing good. How about you watching anything new?
Yes, I am also watching a new show to me, but it is certainly older, and I think you've watched it. But I would maybe next episode we can talk about it. I should be through it, but it was funny because I was in the lunchroom with my coworkers the other day, and I had mentioned that I was watching it, and everybody's eyes just like got wide and lit up. They're like, "Oh," and they were like, "We watched that years ago. What's taking you so long?" And I said, "I was busy following the MCU."
Well, it's good that we're both watching some new things because I do have some new stuff that I am currently watching. They haven't ended, but I want to get into our first thing because we got a packed show here today. We got streamer Botch. I got a few stuff, like I said, I'm watching right now, haven't ended. I want to tell you about, and then we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna talk about a new game that Frank just got. Spider-Man 2. I know I've played the first one and I played the Miles Morales, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Spider-Man 2. Then we got Children with Adult Money. It's coming back. We got some new goodies that neither of us needed. Frank probably needed his. I definitely didn't need mine.
You did not need yours. I kind of didn't need mine, but I wanted it badly, baby. Oh, did I want it?
That's the power of adult money. You want it, you get it. So we'll talk about that and we'll give an update on the Batman watch. I'm laughing kind of hysterically because I'm also very sad because, spoiler, he's not here.
He's not here. And before we started recording, Matt showed me what day we're at as far as the Batman watch. And I was actually surprised. I was like, are we at that number already? And it's sad. It's just really sad.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We got streamer Botch. First one we're going to talk about is Gen V. So what is Gen V? It's a spinoff of the show The Boys. So if you've seen the Amazon original, if you have Prime, it's called The Boys, and it's basically about superheroes. It's a comic they turned it into a show, but it's superheroes as like they probably would be in real life. So they're kind of like they're heroes in the public light, but really like they're criminals. Like they're killing people, not always by like on purpose. Sometimes by accident, just because of their powers, and they're kind of doing like some shady like kind of things. And it's like a corporation actually like runs this and does this. So what they did is they made a spin-off because The Boys was so popular. I know Frank's seen it and I've seen it. We both really like it. Definitely recommend. It is a mature show, so no kids, please. It is not meant for kids. Do not let your kids watch. But Gen V is similar, where it basically follows like the college of like this superhero kind of world, and similar style, similar problems. And I'm really enjoying it. I like The Boys, and I'm liking this Gen V spinoff because it kind of ties in a lot of that. So you kind of get the bigger story of what this corporation Vought is doing. And all the different lengths that they're going through. So I've been really liking it. Frank, anything interests you?
Okay, so I'm interested in the show, but I'm just, not necessarily into watching the superhero stuff right now. But I do have questions. Question number one, since it is a spinoff of The Boys, do we get any cameos from characters that we know? Don't spoil it for me, though.
Yep, you do. You definitely get a few cameos.
Oh, great. Hopefully Homelander. I know it's weird to say that, like, Homelander is my favorite character from The Boys, and here's why he's my favorite character. Matt, you and I have talked about this before. A good villain is just so, like, you can't help it. Like, you can't help, like, loving the villain just because it's always like, you can't help but think, like, what are they going to do next? It's like, always in suspense. Like, is this person going to defile themselves deeper and deeper and deeper and do like more worse things? And I just think Homelander is one of the best villains that I've seen in a long time. And the guy who plays him just plays him so great. Like anytime he does his facial expressions, like you just kind of like tense up because something's about to go down.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's what I look for in a really good villain. Like, and he when I see that Homelander character, um, he you hate him. Like he's the villain,
Right.
like, and you can feel the hatred for him. And I haven't felt that way with a villain since I think like Joffrey with
Oh,
Game of Thrones
so
because
I
I
was
hated Joffrey.
I hated Joffrey too, but I was actually gonna go Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Yeah. Both really great villains, but it's just like, you just I remember like doing Facebook posts when Joffrey was still alive in the show, like, and it was at the wedding, and I wrote a Facebook status. I was like, "Hey HBO, you can kill Joffrey at any time now." And then like 2 minutes later, it happened. And I immediately followed it up with, "Thanks HBO." And like, I didn't know like all the enough people. I didn't know so many people followed me on Facebook, but they were like, "You spoiled it. You spoiled it." I was like, "Oh shoot, you are reading my post."
yeah, but you do get a lot of cameos because the story does tie with what's going on with in the boys.
Do they set it up for the next season of The Boys?
Yeah, I believe it is kind of set up that way because I'm gonna give you one cameo only, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
And it's the senator. She's a part, playing a part in the story.
She's the one that can like make people's heads explode with her thoughts, right?
Yes.
I like the senator, but that power reminds me. Have you ever watched the movie Accepted with Justin Long?
Yes.
There's that character that he's like trying to like make things explode with his mind. That's who she
Yes.
reminds me of.
That character, he's like the only one in the class. He finally
Yeah.
does plus something up. He's like, "I told you."
So he's like, man, you've been working really hard. Oh, well, that's good though. Like, I'm happy. So obviously, there's more than one cameo. It's not just her.
No, there is more than one. Yeah.
Good, good. I want to watch it. I just, like I said, I'm just not in the mood for it right now. I know, probably, I guarantee when I'll watch it is when they announce like the new season of The Boys is finally coming. That's when I will probably watch it.
I understand. It's a stream for me. It sounds like you're gonna watch it too, Frank. So,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
you know, we'll go ahead. We'll move on. We get the next one. I'm currently watching now. This I was super hyped for the new season of this. So we're talking about Loki. Season 2 is available on Disney Plus. I'm currently in the middle of it. I really 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 liked the first season. I thought it was great, and it's basically Frank made that MCU comment, and it's this is really saving it right now. This is probably its like crown jewel at the moment because they're really struggling movie wise, show wise. They haven't been as good. Loki has been awesome though, and like I said, I'm really enjoying season 2. It's a lot of the same type of story action you're getting from season 1. I do think still so far season 1 is better, but again, I think season 2 is holding its own, and I'm really been enjoying it as well. So I definitely would recommend you watching it. It's going to be a stream for me. Frank, you haven't seen it yet, but
I have
any
not.
comments, questions?
Oh yeah, I have many questions about Loki. So it's interesting that you're saying that it's the crown jewel at the moment. So as someone that's currently kind of like not burned or jaded, but just kind of off put by the MCU, would this be the thing that could potentially bring me back in?
I mean, it might. I know you enjoyed season one.
I love season one. And my review of season one would be if you removed all the Marvel comic elements from the show and still had that same storyline, it would still be a phenomenal show.
Yeah, so I mean, I would think it would pull you back in a little bit, but probably not where you're at. I think what they're going to need for that is they're really going to have to show us that they can deliver on another Avengers type of kind of
Avengers level threat?
yeah, they could really deliver on that along with the heroes that you kind of feel the same feelings towards as
Sure.
those originals.
So,
And I don't know if they've done that yet.
okay. How are they handling the whole Jonathan Majors Kang thing? Because if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Majors right now is allegedly accused of domestic violence, I believe it is, and he may or may not be involved with the series moving forward. And I know that Kang was a big part of the first season. So is Kang around? Is it Jonathan Majors? Have they recasted him? What's going on?
Yeah, I believe all I don't know where the status of his legal items are at the moment. I thought they
Okay.
had kind of like resolved a lot of that, but not 100% sure. But he is still king,
Is he the
and
main villain?
yes,
Okay.
he's
Um,
still.
I had another thing. So I always forget his name, but again, he'll forever be short round to me. I know that he's in season 2. Does he have a good character?
He does. He does have a good character.
Good, good. Um, for those of you that are like short round, who's that? If you've watched the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, he's the little boy sidekick that Indiana Jones has along with him. But this actor has grown up, and he won the best actor or best supporting actor at the Oscars last year for best supporting for an amazing movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I just feel like this is his moment. He's popping up in a lot of different things. Loki is one of them, and even though that I'm still kind of off the superhero watching stuff, for him being in it alone almost drew me back and just to check it out. But I just like I'm just not in the mood for it right now.
No, understandable, but yeah, it does. King is still the villain, and you can tell that they're kind of setting up the King dynasty, like which is supposed to be the next like Avengers level threat that the
Sure.
MCU does, I believe.
So I've been reading a lot of articles about just if they remove Jonathan Majors or what people are kind of starting to like get hints at from inside sources that Marvel is in panic mode right now. South Park just did an episode that just kind of attacked Marvel, but more attacked Disney Star Wars, which we won't get into that. But I had saw that if things go south for Jonathan Majors and he is convicted, that they're going to replace Kang with Doctor Doom somehow. And I also saw that they are trying to negotiate with the original, I don't know, 5 or 6 Avengers, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, to somehow bring them all back for a movie. I've also been reading that the Kang Dynasty or the one or Avengers Secret Wars, which is going to follow, is going to have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man as the main characters, which okay, but I don't know how they're gonna keep explaining this, but whatever. I mean, if they can make it work, it works. I don't know. Any clues into any of that in Loki season 2?
They've not really. It's more about they're still trying to like if you spoiler season one where you left off, right? The
Mhm.
EVA I think is what what I always get it confused. I think
Right.
that's what it's called. But basically it's unraveling, right? The timelines are, branching out and that's basically it, right? And
Okay.
they're trying to they're the whole season is really them trying to kind of get a handle on things before everything's destroyed.
Okay. So now I have like 5 more questions. Sorry. Um, so it is dealing with the multiverse.
Yeah.
Are they doing a better job with the multiverse than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? Are they going more than like 2.5 places?
It doesn't really, it's not like that.
Not
Uh,
like that. Okay.
no, and I think you got this at the end of Ant-Man. I think it was one of the extra scenes, but
Sure.
Victor Timely, who is a variant of Kang,
Right.
and they show Morbius and Loki, there where he's at, and it's basically kind of like the old west time, and like in
Right.
Chicago, kind of. I guess not the old west, but
I
like
was
the
gonna say I was gonna ask that is that like the 19 like early 1900s setting or
yeah,
whatever?
something like that, like the 1920s, something like
Sure.
that, around
Sure.
that time. It might be a
Gatsby.
little yeah, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but he's a king variant, and basically what they're trying to chase Renslayer, right? Because she's disappeared,
Sure.
and she's still out there with a temp pad, and they got like a hit on it and things like that. So they were kind of chasing her, but they're also trying to get a grip on all the timelines branching because they have this thing called like it's called like the loom, and it basically like I don't know, like kind of I guess controls these timelines. I forget how they describe it, but it can't handle all the new branches that are
Oh,
being
okay.
created. So it's gonna blow up, and all these branches are gonna just be destroyed, and everything's gonna just go to kaput.
Right.
So in order for them to do the blast doors close to protect them from the radiation that this energy is creating, and the blast doors close, and they can't get them open again, um, to go out there to even like make some of these like repairs or what they think they need to do to stop the loom from being destroyed. Well, in order to do that, you need the retinal scan of He Who Remains, who doesn't exist anymore.
Right. So they're
So
after this Gatsby era Kang.
yeah, so they end up going after this fairy, and I forget, like, I'm having a tough time remembering even how they like discovered him, but I think it was tracking Renslayer because Miss Minutes is helping her, and this is actually part of He Who Remains' like contingency plan if he was ever to die,
Oh, okay.
was to go back and like you know uh, give this to one of his other variants, and I will like I don't want to give any spoilers away because I messed up the last episode,
You did. That's
but
okay.
but uh, but you can see a lot of connection, and it does play with like kind of the idea of time and like the chicken and the egg type of theory, like what came
Oh,
first, right? So it's a lot of that, and you can tell that they really are setting up like the Kang dynasty, because you saw also one of the I think scenes at the end of the movie of Ant-Man was all Kang's variants
right.
collected in like a coliseum, right?
Oh, yeah, they're like all cheering and whatever. Yeah.
Right, and that's the threat He Who Remains warned Loki and Sylvie about. He said, "There's gonna be more of me, and I'll see you
Right.
soon."
Does this the one that they're chasing, the Kang variant, does he know that he's Kang?
No, no, and again, I don't
Oh,
want to give any spoilers away, but he doesn't know. But a lot of people have their theories, and like one of mine is that Victor Timely, He Who Remains, and Kang the Conqueror are all the same King.
okay. Hmm. Now, okay, it's kind of the same question that I had with Generation V because it's the MCU and they just, they've been doing this for years. Any cameos from anybody else? Do we see anybody else we know? Or kind of like how last season where there was that episode spoiler for like a 2-year-old show. And we also kind of spoiled Game of Thrones, so sorry about that. Um, do we see any more variants of Loki? Like we had that full episode where it's just like all the Lokis and they all were funny in their own way. Anything like that?
No, I don't believe we have in this one.
Wow. Wow. I guess they didn't have Kate Blanchett in the budget like they did last time. uh,
You mean carte blanche.
Carte blanche, yeah. um, so is it over yet? Is the season done, or is it still ongoing?
It's still ongoing. It's I want to say I can't remember recall what episode I'm even on, but basically what happened is I can tell I'm towards the end of this.
Sure, it's wrapping up.
Yeah, like I'm at like the climax point of the season right now.
I would probably guess then at 1 or 2 more weeks ish.
That's what I'm thinking too, because yeah, like and like I said, yeah, I would recommend it. I think you will like it. I don't know
I'm
if it's
sure
gonna
I
get you
will.
kind of back in the mood, for all the Marvel stuff. Like, what's coming out, Miss Marvel.
Oh,
Uh,
so
Marvel.
I got
Yeah.
to tell you what. I know this is like, it's on topic, it's off topic, it's not on the schedule, but and maybe this can be part of an episode where we talk about like the state of the MCU. But I have nothing against Captain Marvel or Ms. Marvel, the Disney Plus show. I thought the Miss Marvel show was probably my second favorite behind Loki, and I liked it a little bit better than WandaVision. I just don't think that this sequel, The Marvels, where they're bringing all three Captain Marvels together, was in the oven long enough. And I'm hearing a lot of different divisive reviews, but I'm willing to bet it's going to be a major financial disappointment. And this is being recorded 2 days before it's released, so maybe next episode we'll see. But man, I know that's certainly not going to get me excited to go back to the theaters to see the Marvel movies.
Well, the only reason I brought it up is because I have zero interest in watching it, and
Yeah.
I'll wait for it to be on Disney Plus.
Did you watch Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel?
Yeah, I've watched them both.
Okay, what did you think of Miss Marvel? Just curious. I don't know if we talked about it.
I thought, I mean, it was okay, but like I'm kind of with you. I think a lot of stuff is overplayed with Marvel, and I I I think they kind of need to go back to creating those characters,
Sure.
or like creating the story. Like I think some of the characters they have now, they're not the most popular, um, and but they need to really pull me back in with like some of the stories like they were doing. Like there was a lot of good writing, and I don't want to get too off track here because we need to keep moving on. But
Right.
I didn't even watch Secret Invasion.
Neither did I. And I think when you were talking about, and I've heard that's just atrocious, but I think the issue is you were saying like they need to get back into the good writing, and I'm stealing this from another YouTube show, the John Campea show that I watch and listen to almost daily. But him and his one of his co-hosts was talking about it the other day, where they said the Marvel movies before Phase 4, Phase 5, whatever phase we're in now, they used to be about these characters, like these human characters coming into these powers or situations, and we had the human drama, but now we're being introduced to these characters that are already super, they're ready to go like right out of the gate. And they quoted the Incredibles syndrome when he said, when everybody's super, no one will be. And it's just like, God, that to me, that hit the nail on the head. I was like, that's exactly what's going on. And they need to go back to the human drama of it all.
Yeah. So anyways, Loki, it's a stream for me. And we're gonna move on to another Amazon show, actually called Upload. It's on season 3. I believe this is season 3. Uh, Not like the a superstar show. Like I would definitely rate Gen V and Loki higher than this, but Upload has been like entertaining in a different way. It's a bit of a comedy drama, like it's kind of set up that way. Basically, what happens is, um, if you're like really ill or dying, you can choose to have your body uploaded if you can afford it. And what they do is they upload, uh, kind of like a computerized version of you into this virtual reality, and people from the real world can come into the virtual reality and visit you. You can visit people outside in the real world. You can make phone calls to them. So it's almost like you're still alive. They call it like, like the life after death. But you know uh you have to be pretty rich to afford that lifestyle, and they have rules around uploads, like they can't vote, they can't earn money, so they can't work. So whatever you die with, whatever you have, that's the money you have to pay for those services. And there are all kinds of upgrades, like you get like, the basic meal, and it's just like, toast and whatever. And like, if you want like an actual meal that's like turkey and this and that, it's an upgrade. You have to pay for it, right? You want to do like nicer clothing, that's an upgrade. And even like gigabytes, like you pay for internet, like they charge you for that too. So they have uh like basically like the poorer people, they only have so many gigs, and they actually show like the numbers by their heads. And when they hit zero, they go gray and they don't move until the next month when the when it resets. So, anyways, the basis of the story is the main character was creating a free version for people who couldn't afford kind of these higher price upload facilities, trying to make it for everyone, kind of trying to, disrupt or break the system type of thing. Well, the people in power obviously didn't like it, right? And it's the tale as old as time. What do? They kill him. And he has this very attached girlfriend who's attached to one of these like powerful people. And she has him uploaded into, the richy rich type of facility. And as he's there, he's starting to kind of discover that he might have been murdered, and he's trying to kind of figure out why and what they're trying to do. And this is season 3 of that. So don't want to give again away any spoilers, kind of tell you what's going on. But basically, uh, the story is continuing. I think it's just as good as the other 2 seasons. Again, not like something you have to pay ultra attention to. It's more of a casual watch, and it does have its funny moments, and I've been really enjoying it.
Before I get into like whether I'd be interested or not, I just like a question. So, like, I'm a rich person. Like, let's say we've been talking. I brought up Gatsby. Let's say I have Gatsby money and I'm about to die and I upload into this, and all I have with me is the money that I have, right? Well, if I'm in there for years and years and years, what happens when my money runs out? Like, do they just unupload me? Do they cancel me? Do I go away? What happens?
They delete you.
They delete you. So that's it.
Yeah,
That
you're
okay.
done.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, like they like your information, like you basically are like a hard drive, like a
Sure.
and at this point in time, what's like one thing I'll say about this season, like to give you an example, one thing that happened to one of the characters is they made a duplicate of him. So
Oh.
there's 2 of him running around because they couldn't find him, so they backed him up while creating another one. So
So is he
that's what
being
it is.
charged twice now because he has a duplicate?
No, no, no.
I know
It's
I'm focusing on the
there's
wrong
more
things
there's
here.
more to the story that I don't want to give away.
Right, I got you. Okay. I've seen it on Amazon for years, and I know that you've talked about it. The premise has always like intrigued me, but I've just always, I guess I was following the MCU. It's a little bit too closely, and I just didn't make time for it. But now I'm not, so maybe I will make time. Like, out of the 3 that you talked about tonight, this is the one that I would probably watch first.
Yeah, because you don't want to watch any superhero stuff. I get it.
Correct, but also, like, just with all the premises, like, with The Boys and it's a spinoff, it's like, it's not the main story, so, like, I don't know if I need to dive right into that. With Loki, it's just like, I don't especially MCU, I'm not really into, but this sounds, like, really good, and I was telling you about those 2 movies, that I added to Movies Anywhere, that kind of in the same, like, vein of sci-fi, so it's just, like, especially The 13th Floor, I'm that kind of like that's kind of where my mind's at. Like, I need the thinking man's like watch, I suppose. Even though you said this is more of a casual one, but it still sounds like intriguing enough where it's like, huh, that's just for you describing the plot. I had like 3 or 4 questions. I was like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and it is a casual watch. Like I'll find myself kind of like in and out of it, but it's easy to follow. So it's one of those shows.
Sure, good. Anybody big name in it or anything? Like I don't even know who's in it.
Not that I can think of.
Sure. If I watch it, will I be like, oh, it's
Oh,
that guy?
I don't know the actor's name, but I always remember him from Road Trip. He's the guy that's like the really smart guy. He's
Oh,
like,
is he in it?
yeah, he's like, I didn't say anything about the wheels falling off. I
Oh
said we
yeah.
got across.
Yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Well, I that guy kind of disappeared after Road Trip, so glad to see he's still getting work. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, there's a guy.
Yeah, it's like haven't seen you since '99. You know?
Um, yeah, that's probably the biggest person like I can recall or remember. But
Wow,
I do want to get into the next thing because I know you were super excited to talk about this, and
man.
I'm excited to hear about it. So we're gonna get into a little game time with Frank here. We're gonna talk Spider-Man 2.
So I just want to let it be known before I even start talking about it. If you're wanting to play the game, you haven't played the game yet, I just want to let you know I am going to spoil everything. I'm going to talk about everything about this game. I was fortunate enough, my wife got it for me for my birthday. And as far as like reading any of my books or watching any shows or movies, like for about a week and a half, everything just was on pause. Like I'd come home from work, I'd get all like my stuff done, I'd hang out with my kid, but the moment he went down to bed, I just was like, let's go. And Matt had mentioned this is Spider-Man 2, but it's really the third game in the series because there was the original Spider-Man, and then they did a spin-off that just focused. Well, the first Spider-Man focused on the Peter Parker Spider-Man, and then the second one, Miles Morales, focused on the Miles Morales character. Well, now this is Spider-Man 2, and not only is it a sequel to the original, but it kind of like the title in my mind serves a purpose because both Spider-Men are in the game and they're both playable, and you can switch between them at any time. And basically the big meat of the story is in the last two games, it was hinted at that Harry Osborn was sick, and Norman through Oscorp with Dr. Connors put the alien symbiote on Harry to try to like heal his disease. Well, it works, and Harry is out and about. He's back in Peter and Mary Jane's life, and there are multiple moments where you're playing and it's kind of hinted at that maybe Harry has like the symbiote powers, and there's a big story moment at Coney Island where it's revealed like Harry does have the symbiote powers, which leads to Harry and Peter teaming up and sidelining Miles, and Miles starts feeling some type of way, and it creates friction between the two Spider-Men and their partnership. Well, eventually the symbiote, I forget how actually gets transferred onto Peter and he dons the black suit. Matt, come back for a second because I know that you're going to want to. I was so excited to tell you about this, but I wanted to wait for the podcast. So, when you get the black suit, it is the classic looking black suit and it has like his symbol. But as it starts like warping his mind, it slowly starts to become the Venom symbol. Yeah. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
That's yeah, I was, but that is pretty sick.
Yeah,
I'm interested. Maybe when I come out, you'll have to show me.
I'll show you. So like there's a scene though where you remember in the first game you had to play as like Mary Jane in certain sections.
Hmm.
So there's a scene where she's trying to go into like this broken down subway station that's flooding to try to go like talk Peter down from his rage. And it's right at the point where like the symbiote's fully taking over and you hear him go MJ. And when his head comes up, he goes run, but it's in the Venom voice. And then you have to escape as Mary Jane as like this, as
Oh
Black Spider-Man is. It's terrifying. It's so terrifying. They did Venom awesome. So
it's not
eventually,
like
so
he's
go
not
ahead.
like their like a pile of heads, pile of brains.
No, this is like the least comical Venom of all time. I know that's your favorite part from the Venom movie, but like So eventually it gets transferred back onto Harry, and you get to play a level as Venom as you're like busting out of Oscorp and trying to get away. And you have your mission objectives like pop up, and the mission objective that pops up is destroy everything you want to, and you just get to rain havoc as Venom. Eventually, Miles and Peter put their differences aside, um, but not before Harry. Basically, what's the word I'm looking for? He puts some of the symbiote. He infects Mary Jane with the symbiote, and she becomes Scream, that version of Venom. And you have to fight Mary Jane. It's like this whole thing. It's nuts. But as you're fighting Venom, you fight him once just as Peter, but then you get like this new awesome white symbiote suit, and you still get to use all the symbiote powers. And Miles comes back in, and it's like you are switching back and forth between them in this final fight. It is insane. I also, oh, go ahead. You have a question?
I was just gonna say no. I'm really liking how they kind of tied in even the missions, like kind of getting you as the player into that character, like that this
Right.
is occurring to you because you're always in these games doing the right thing, right, and looking to
Yeah.
do the right thing. So it's very rare that like in a hero game you play the villain.
Yeah. Oh, it was nuts. Just crazy. Like it was I kind of figured like, when I was playing, I was like, man, that would be so cool if they let me play a little bit as Venom, but I didn't want to get my hopes up. But then when that level happened and at the story it comes at right at the perfect time, I was like, these people just get it. They just like the first two. They did their homework.
Well, even like in Harry Potter, you could choose your path, right? Like
Yeah.
even if you chose your path, like in this type of Spider-Man, like maybe you want to stay Venom, maybe you like being that way.
Right. Well, that's also cool because you know, like the first two games, you can switch out what suit you want to wear. And if you switch back to the black suit, you get all the Venom powers and everything. So that it's really cool. And the combat's great. My favorite thing, new addition that they did with like traversing the city in the first two was just web swinging. Go figure, it's Spider-Man game. But like in the Tom Holland Spider-Man Homecoming, when he jumps off, the Washington Monument, and he uses his the webs in his armpit as like a wing glider suit. You can wing glide through the city, and there's like wind tunnels. Like it, I don't know if I can go back to the other two games because you can get around the city so quickly that way. I just feel like if I go back to just swinging, it's not going to be the same.
What I actually ended up doing is I got so sick of swinging around is that I would find the closest like part where I could pop up on the map, and then I would just swing from there.
So fast travel in this game is, I mean, we've talked about this ever since we got the PS5. It goes to show what the PS5 is capable of. How you fast travel in this game is once you do so many missions in a district, you can open up the map, pinpoint exactly what street or what building you want to drop on, and within a split second, you are there at that part of the map. And the animation, you're either wing gliding in or like swinging right into exactly where you wanted to drop on the map. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what we wow, Um,
Well,
go
it's
ahead.
kind of it's kind of even a little ironic where even we were talking all this MCU stuff because really all they have left is Spider-Man. They have nothing
Right.
left except Spider-Man,
And
and
I'm gonna
it's not
bring
even
it
Nurse. It's not
right.
even Nurse.
I know, and it's funny because like I know like I spent most of this episode saying I'm over superheroes watching them, but like playing the video game is just such a different experience that this gets a pass. And Spider-Man and Batman are my two favorites, so like obviously I'm gonna play the Spider-Man game.
By the way, I got an update too on Jonathan Majors. So to be determined, his trial date is November 29th. He did try to get the charges dismissed, and they said no, we're going to move forward with the case.
Okay. Well, hopefully that they get everything figured out and they get the answers.
Yeah.
Um my favorite part about this game is the boss battles or one of my favorite. I have a lot of favorite parts about this game. It was great. The game opens where they're switching back and forth between you and Miles, and you're fighting like Sandman as he's like taking over the city, and he's like he's like the big giant monster Sandman. Another boss battle has you like you are you're chasing the main villain, Craven. Craven's like the second main villain, and he comes to New York City to hunt all like the Lizard and Venom and all the other Spider-Man villains. And you're involved in a chase sequence like down the river, like the Hudson River, between Craven, and you're fighting him, but you're also fighting the Lizard. Just it's just like everything you want it to be. And it you know I honestly hope like the next time I said it the last game with Doc Ock. I said if they ever get around with doing the non Alfred Molina Doc Ock, I hope this is how they do it. I hope this is how they do Craven. I hope this is how they do Venom when they reboot Venom. Everybody's like, well, I've been reading online. People are mad, like, well, it's not the Eddie Brock Venom. And it's like, oh, honestly, the Harry Osborn Venom is pretty awesome, and I'm completely on board with it.
You have to with something like Spider-Man, like I'm sorry, people. Like I like the original stories too. I like the
Same,
original kind of characters, but you have to mix it up.
right?
You have to give differences, and and stuff like that is great because that leads to even more movies in the future. Like look at all the Batman comics and how those have led to like pretty successful Batman series.
Right. And it's good that you brought that up because a lot of people are up in arms on this on YouTube. I'm primarily on YouTube watching videos, but the game ends in a way where Peter is like done. He's taking a break as Spider-Man, and he basically hands the responsibility over to Miles, and it's the Insomniac, the people that make these games, have announced that Spider-Man 3 is going to be Miles Morales. Like he will be the main Spider-Man in these games moving forward. And I really don't think a lot of people understand is they're like, oh, they're race swapping, the race swapping. No, Miles Morales is his own character, and he
Yep.
has, I think it was 2011 he was introduced. He's been around long enough that he has his own rich storylines and things like that too. And it's just like, trust me, don't hate on it. You want them to do Miles Morales. There's so much untapped potential there.
Yeah, and we've said it too. That's where actually, Marvel, Sony, they need to go. I think the Spider-Man Tom Holland story is coming to an end, and you need to start bringing in the Miles Morales story.
Right.
And if you don't like Miles Morales, here's like a nice intro to him. Like we've talked about these movies before, but Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, two of my favorite Sony films that they put out, over the last few years. It's an animation version, but yeah, that's kind of a nice soft intro into like a character like Miles Morales.
And that's, honestly, that the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, that's how I mean, I knew Miles Morales, but without that movie, it was a very great like push a jumping off point, and I've done a deep dive ever since. And Miles Morales is just as good, maybe right on par with Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And his storylines are great too. Like he had, they do it right. Like they show through his eyes that it sucks to be Spider-Man, and you really can't have a personal life or get close to people because they will be in danger and they will die. And how
Yeah.
do you balance that? You know?
Yeah, and that's why he's one of my favorite superheroes ever because it's very relatable kind of problems,
Exactly.
in life. But I want to get into our final segment because we are running out of time. We're gonna
Play the
move.
game. That's all I'll say. If you have a PS5, what are you doing? You need to play this game.
There you go. You have it from Frank. Play the game. Nice transition too. Children with adult money are talking about buying expensive games. Frank and I do have some new buys that we want to mention to people. We know people have been liking this series. So if you're on the YouTube, I'll bring up our new buys here. Mine is Pokemon. So when I was a kid, I got super into Pokemon, like a lot of people, right? Got to catch them all. I want to be the best, like no one ever was. And I saw that Pokemon was releasing another version of the original 151, and I got my kids into Pokemon. They're giving out like the little trick or treat like cards, and they're collecting the cards, super stoked. Like they got Pikachu's, and a Mewtwo, like they love it. And I got them watching the old cartoon on Netflix because they're all up there. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'll watch even breaks online and stuff too. Because it's the thrill of the pull. Even when you were like a kid, right, hunting for like that Charizard, you're still hunting for the Charizard even today. And I love the nostalgia of it. And like when I look through the cards I currently have, it does bring back some good memories for me. So that that was my buy pretty recently. But Frank, yours is a little bit more practical, like
Well,
something the working man could use.
before you introduce mine, I think it's so cool that you're sharing this experience with your kids. They're at that age now where they know what's going on, and they realize what certain things are, and the fact that you get to relive this part of your childhood with them, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Good for you.
Thanks, it's been awesome. Yeah, I want to get into yours because I am jealous of this baby.
So a couple years ago, my one coworker, he was always bringing in like delicious smoked meats to work, and he was like, "I made too much. Here, eat this." And I would ask him how he was doing this. He goes, "Well, I have a smoker, or I did this on my such and such grill." He's kind of like my Obi-Wan Kenobi to, he's like my sensei, so to speak, into this hobby, but my I was telling my brother about it, and for Christmas, my brother, this was a couple 3 years ago, he bought me a master built electrical smoker, one of those towers, and slowly but surely, I kind of taught, and through the guidance of my coworker, I really just learned how to use it. And Matt, you've had a meal or two out of it, and Matt has been there as like kind of like my Gordon Ramsay in a way. Like I'll send him like, "Hey, I did this today," and be like, "Oh, it looks undercooked," or "That doesn't look good at all. Try again." And I've always come back time after time after time. But it got to the point where I felt as if to move forward with this hobby, I was being limited by the master built smoker. I learned so much on it, but it was time to really get into it. And I saved for months for a Pit Boss Pro Series, and I finally was able to get it. And I've been using it I solidly for about a week and a half, and it is so wonderful in so many different ways. And I could do a full episode on smoking meats and just the units that you can buy and use. Matt makes fun of me because he'll be like, "What are you doing?" I'll be like, "I'll be watching. I'm watching grilling recipes on YouTube. How many videos have you watched today?" And I'll be like, 15, 16. And
I mean, but that's what I do too. Like when you get passionate about something, that's where you go. You go on YouTube. I mean, I can't.
right,
I'm not even going to admit. I got Frank knows about a year ago. I got into golf, and it's been kind of the same journey. He has to deal with my BS I talk about with golf. I have to deal with his BS. He talks about the smoker. That's the beauty of friendship. You
right.
have my BS is your BS.
That's right. But like a lot of people, when you get to be a certain age in adulthood, like you just need hobbies. You need to have a hobby that just like is not that work is terrible or anything. It's not, but like you got to do something to kind of keep your mind off things and just keep it clean upstairs, so to speak. And you know do something that brings you a lot of joy that you're not getting paid for or doesn't stress you out. And this is just what I happen to get into. And over the last 3 years, it has just been a very wonderful educational journey. And the food is really good. And if you're ever curious, like just watch one of these, find a good YouTube grill master. I would recommend Me Church Matt, and or How to Barbecue Right. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll remember it when we're done recording. But watch one of their videos. Just see how easy it is to do if you have the right equipment and the know-how. It might be something you'd be interested too. But I will tell you, and Matt will agree with this. Smoking, slow roasting, and smoking meat is the patient's man's game. You got to be really patient.
Yep, and I don't have it, which is why I don't have one. But we want to get into the final, right? We got to give an update on the Batman. Okay,
Ah,
I said it earlier in the show. He is still not here. We are on watch day 77. And again, keep in mind, people, it's 77 since we started like this show and started doing the podcast and updating you. It has been way more days, way more.
we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary in March. I'm curious if it will be if they'll because I had contacted the sideshow people and I said, "Hey, any update?" And currently on the website it says, between October and December. And I said, "Hey, any update on when these are going to arrive?" And the guy wrote back and he said, "We don't even have our copy to do our photographs of and to do our reviews." So he said it's probably going to be longer than December.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we would have heard something by now, but yeah, just we want to take you again on this journey with us, right? Again, our bullshit is your bullshit. So we're gonna leave the show there. But hey, guys, really, appreciate all you guys listening. And thank you for supporting. I hope you guys like this. Show us some love. Tell us what you like. If there's a show that you like, something that a game, anything that you are interested in that we should check out, let us know. But want to thank you all again for the much love and much support. And we'll catch you next time. Same streaming time, same streaming platform. See you later.